Right, so in the first part of this series, we went on a little trip through the history of structural engineering, looking at how clever those early civilizations were. We were amazed by the Egyptian pyramids, these massive things built with just basic tools and a really good understanding of shapes. We also looked at how the Romans were brilliant with arches, vaults and concrete, which you can see in amazing buildings like the Colosseum and the Pantheon. These early civilizations really set the groundwork for structural engineering, showing they understood how weight spreads and how materials work. But because they didn't have the best materials and maths, they couldn't build really big or complicated things. Everything was ready for a big change, a time of quick progress thanks to new scientific discoveries and inventions. The late 1800s was a real turning point in structural engineering. This was when new materials, clever maths models, and new ways of building appeared. It was a time when engineers dared to dream big, pushing the limits of what you could actually build. In the late 1800s, two materials came along that completely changed structural engineering: steel and reinforced concrete. Steel is really strong and can be made in huge amounts, which meant you could build across bigger distances and make taller buildings. The Bessemer process, invented in the mid-1800s, meant you could make lots of steel, making it cheaper and easier to use for building. Reinforced concrete, which is concrete and steel mixed together, was a brilliant solution for all sorts of building parts. It's strong in different ways to steel. This clever material meant you could build thinner, lighter and stronger buildings, and architects could try out new styles and designs. Portland cement, invented in the early 1800s, was a really good way to stick concrete together, which made it even more popular in building. Steel and reinforced concrete together meant some incredible buildings could be built. Gustav Eiffel's Eiffel Tower, finished in 1889, shows just what you could do with steel. Its complicated lattice structure, a whopping 330 meters tall, showed everyone that buildings could look very different and that steel could be beautiful. In America, the growing cities of Chicago and New York became places to experiment with skyscrapers, a new type of building made possible by steel frames. Architects like William LeBaron Jenney and Louis Sullivan came up with new ways of building, using steel frames to hold up the massive weight of these tall buildings. The Home Insurance Building in Chicago, finished in 1885, is thought to be the very first skyscraper, a massive 10 stories high at the time. The late 1800s and early 1900s were a time of amazing new ideas in structural engineering. Steel and reinforced concrete, along with better maths and building techniques, meant some iconic structures were built, changing cityscapes forever. These new ideas set the rules and ways of working that structural engineers still use today. Modern engineers use what these early pioneers discovered, using clever software to look at complicated structures, inventing new high-tech materials and improving building techniques to make them more efficient and eco-friendly. When we think about the future of structural engineering, we can be inspired by the cleverness and bravery of those who came before us, always pushing the limits of what's possible and shaping the world around us.